A passenger plane prepares to land at Amsterdam Airport.
Runway in sight.
When suddenly...
Steer! Steer! Steer!
disaster strikes. Investigators face intense pressure to find out why.
When something happens at the airfield, it has more attention from the public.
But finding answers proves to be difficult.
There was nothing that indicated that they were in a very desperate situation.
Careful examination of the evidence
There's nothing wrong here. The gauge is working fine.
only deepens the mystery.
Why the heck did they decide to turn back?
Can investigators uncover what really doomed Flight 433?
There's a piece still missing.
It's Easter Monday, 1994, at Amsterdam's Schiphol Airport.
Set torque. My controls.
KLM City Hopper Flight 433 is on its way from Amsterdam to Cardiff, Wales.
Torque set.
Flying time is 1 hour and 20 minutes.
V1. Rotate.
The plane is a Saab 340B, a dual turboprop designed for short regional flights.
The Saab 340B was a fairly popular commuter airliner back in the 1990s when it was introduced and in production. It was in use all over the world, and Europe and North America in particular.
The captain on Flight 433 is 37-year-old Gerrit Lievart. The first officer, Paul Stassen, is 34. Both pilots have been flying commuter flights with KLM for more than 2 years. Today's flight from Amsterdam's Schiphol Airport crosses over the North Sea and England to Cardiff. It's a popular route for KLM City Hopper. Fred Burgish flew it often as a pilot when he was with the airline.
It's 3-4 times a day, that routing, to Cardiff and Bristol. It's profitable, it's good.
There are 21 passengers in the cabin. Most are heading home after the Easter long weekend.
It was nice that you came, thank you.
My mother didn't want to fly on her own, so I went to get her.
Marika Jenkins is a Dutch-born social worker living in Wales. She flew to Amsterdam to pick up her mother and take her to Cardiff.
We managed to have a bit of a family reunion that Easter weekend before we flew back.
Look out ahead of us. Can you see that? Oh, yeah.
Captain Lievart spots thunderclouds ahead. He wants to get above them.
That's control for flight level 200.
Amsterdam KLM 433.
Go ahead, 423.
Is flight level 200 available?
Climb to 200. You are re-cleared. Flight level 200.
Amsterdam Air Traffic Control okays the climb to 20,000 feet.
Thank you, sir. Climbing flight level 200, KLM 433.
The captain decided to be on top of the weather, which is a good decision, of course. You want passenger comfort, avoid turbulence, avoid thunderstorms, and that is what they did.
Has the airline asked you to become an instructor?
No, not yet. You need a lot of experience to get there. It's a big responsibility.
Right engine oil pressure.
Check. Take action.
Copy. Taking action.
In response to the alarm, First Officer Stassen consults the engine oil pressure warning checklist.
There are several reasons where oil pressure could drop in an engine, primarily due to leaks or some sort of damaging event in the engine system.
Emergency checklist for engine and propeller oil pressure low.
The checklist tells him to monitor the warning light and the oil pressure gauges.
If the warning light is on or the gauge is below 30, then you can continue. But if you have both, then shut down the engine.
It's not the case. This is so strange.
There are a variety of warnings that may come up in a cockpit. Some of them are quite serious, where the pilots would have to immediately institute some emergency procedures. Others, such as this, they have the time to take out a checklist and go step by step through that checklist to make sure the problem isn't serious.
What do we have now?
So the light is on, but we're above 30 psi. So,
Continue normal operation.
yes.
The crew completes the checklist and decides it's safe to keep flying.
This isn't as bad as I thought.
In the cabin, passengers are unaware of any issues in the cockpit.
It was pretty relaxed. It was a small plane flying to Cardiff.
Okay, we're not climbing anymore.
Approaching 17,000 feet, Captain Leivart notices a problem with his plane's performance.
No.
It's not climbing as quickly as it should be.
We need to return to Amsterdam, make a pan call, request to maintain flight level 160, tell them we have a technical issue.
A pan call, or the pilot saying pan, 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 means there's an unusual situation, not a critical situation, not an emergency situation yet, but it's something where it's indicating to the air traffic control, please pay attention to us, we need extra help.
Amsterdam KLM 433, pan, 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 pan. We have an engine problem and we'd like to maintain 160 for return to Schiphol.
That's copied, sir. You may turn right, heading to Schiphol.
The controller grants the pilot's requests.
We have a pan from KLM 433, now returning to Schiphol.
At the airport, emergency vehicles are put on standby. Less than 15 minutes after takeoff, KLM Flight 433 is heading back to Amsterdam.
You trained for it. They decided to return to Schiphol, which was a good decision.
Descending 70.
Check, set, okay.
1,500 feet per minute.
Now descending towards the airport.
Staying steady now?
The crew keeps a close eye on their problem engine.
Yes, but it's sensible to turn back.
You should tell the passengers.
They must deliver the bad news.
I'll say calmly that as a precaution, we're heading back. Yeah? Ladies and gentlemen, this is your first officer. We have a slight problem with the right engine, and for safety, we are returning to Amsterdam. Sorry for the inconvenience.
That's not something you really want to hear.
Oh, well, they know what they're doing.
And I remember saying to my mum, don't sit comfortably after somebody tells you that one engine's not working.
KLM 433, can you give me any details?
The controller wants to know more about the engine problem.
KLM 433, situation's under control. We have an engine oil pressure problem in engine number 2.
Yes, okay, we can bring you in for 06. You're number 1.
There was nothing coming out of the communication with the pilots that indicated that they were in a very desperate situation, that the aircraft was about to lose control or anything like that. This was, if you can call it this, a normal emergency.
I was hoping to get home by 4.
Runway in sight.
Okay, 433.
The pilots are focused on the landing.
Wind is 280 degrees, 8 knots.
Flaps 20.
Flaps 20. Outer marker.
Check.
KLM 433 is just 500 feet above the ground.
Watch your speed.
The plane has slowed to a dangerously low speed.
I'm on it.
A sudden bank to the right takes the passengers by surprise.
As it veered, I remember saying to my mother, well, I actually swore.
Merrick, don't swear.
You want to come in straight, and if you have a bank close to the ground, it's always a problem.
The captain struggles to level his plane.
Going around. Set torque, flap 7, gear up.
Captain Levart attempts a go-around.
The plane veered quite sharply to the right, and at that point, things were clear that they weren't right.
Flight 433 is beyond recovery.
Steer! 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 Garrett! 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 Crash, crash, crash. Runway 06, emergency runway 06.
KLM Cityhopper 433 has crashed next to Amsterdam's Schiphol Airport. Marika Jenkins and her mother have somehow survived.
I remember it being very, very quiet. So all the stuff that you imagine might happen, which is people screaming and being panicked, it wasn't.
You're okay. Let's get out.
I said to my mum, so I'm going to undo your seatbelt because we have to get out. And she said, but nobody's told us that we can. And I said, I don't think nobody is, so I'm going to do it.
People near the runway watching planes land rush to help. KLM Flight 433 has crashed in a field next to the runway. Emergency vehicles can't get through the thick mud. Rescuers and passengers must trudge to safety on foot, and with the help of a local farmer's tractor. First responders and a handful of civilians lead the survivors away from the smoldering wreckage.
I need to rest.
And I just wanted to sit down and have a cigarette. That's all I wanted to do. That's odd, isn't it? It's odd to think that those are the thoughts you have. And because I had my handbag, I rolled a cigarette. And somebody came up towards me and said, should you be doing that, love?
After what just happened, I'll do what I want.
And he said, but you're covered in kerosene. And I said, oh, if I was meant to die today, I think I would have died today. I'm having this cigarette, whatever happens.
Marika and her mother are lucky to be alive. Not everyone is so fortunate. Of the 24 people on board, 2 passengers and the captain are dead. 8 passengers and the first officer are seriously injured. While emergency workers secure the accident site, investigators from the Netherlands Aviation Safety Board begin the search for clues. Kars Bermkes is among the first on the scene.
When we got to the accident site, it was that the aircraft crashed about 500 meters on the southeast side of the runway.
How is it possible? An aircraft landed next to the runway, not miles away, just outside the airport.
Investigators managed to recover the plane's black boxes, but it will take some time to process the flight and voice data. Investigators are eager to hear what the air traffic controller has to say about the crash. Ben Groenendijk is the investigator on the case.
We go to the tower and approach, and we get the first information. When the crash happened within eyesight, we also get his report of what he saw.
They issued a pan call. We're coming back to the airport.
We got information from ATC, Air Traffic Control, that the pilot returned from a flight to Cardiff.
Amsterdam KLM 433, pan, 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 pan. We have an engine problem and we'd like to maintain 160 for return to Schiphol.
That's copy, sir. You may turn right, heading to Schiphol.
Did they tell you what the problem was?
Yeah, they said it had to do with the oil pressure.
KLM 433, can you give me any details?
KLM 433, situation's under control. We have an engine oil pressure problem in engine number 2.
This was at a fairly high altitude. They had plenty of opportunity to diagnose the problem and to maneuver the aircraft expertly with one engine. They're trained to do that, and that's not an unusual situation.
I gave them some wind info just before they were supposed to land. Next thing I knew, they were going around.
Going around. Set torque flap 7, gear up.
Pilots conduct a go-around if their landing becomes unstable.
They increase the power, they gain altitude, they circle around, and they try a second time for that landing.
How do you know they were attempting a go-around?
I could see that their gear was up.
To help reduce drag, pilots retract the landing gear for a go-around.
They had veered off to the right of the runway.
Some type of flight control issue.
A malfunction of the rudder, ailerons, or other control surfaces could explain why the plane banked so violently at the last moment.
Right before the aircraft is about to touch down, within a few hundred feet of the ground, any sort of controllability issue.
Steer! Steer!
The potential for danger is much, much higher than if the same problem happened at altitude.
Investigators have 2 new clues. The crew had a problem with their oil pressure and then lost control of the airplane when they tried to land.
Okay, let's focus on the engine and flight controls.
Investigators face difficult questions in their search for a cause, but already the public is demanding answers.
When something happens at an airfield, it has more attention from the public. We try not to jump into conclusions, and we just stay blank and start an investigation.
In a hangar at Schiphol Airport, the Netherlands Aviation Safety Board investigators scour the wreckage for clues to explain the crash of Flight 433. They need to know if the plane suffered a flight control malfunction.
We want to exclude all possible factors that could have contributed to the accident.
Let's start with the rudder.
Investigators know the plane veered to the right during the landing attempt, but they don't know why. In the air, pilots move the rudder left and right to control the plane's yaw, or horizontal rotation. It's a critical control surface for helping them line up with the runway. Investigators wonder if the rudder malfunctioned just before landing. They need to examine the rudder locking device. It's used to lock the rudder in place to prevent it moving in a heavy wind while on the ground. Did the rudder lock somehow engage in flight, causing a catastrophic loss of control?
Can I take a look?
A rudder lock, if it would be still on, would certainly degrade the authority of the rudder. So you check that.
They study the rudder components. They look for any sign of a malfunction in the gust lock system.
There's nothing wrong with it. The lock is fine.
We didn't find anything wrong with the gust lock.
Further analysis reveals that all of the plane's other flight control surfaces were also working properly.
Flaps 20.
Flaps 20.
The cause of the deadly disaster lies somewhere else.
KLM 433, can you give me any details?
Investigators know that the KLM pilots reported an oil pressure problem.
KLM 433, situation's under control.
We have an engine oil pressure problem in engine number 2.
They need to know what that problem was, and if it contributed to the crash.
You could have a seizure of an engine, or overheating because the oil is not there.
Well, turbines are moving.
There's no evidence that the engine's overheated or seized due to a lack of oil.
Any damages from the impact? Not from oil pressure.
There's no evidence of any oil pressure issues at all. It seems the pilots reported a problem that didn't exist.
We checked, of course, the rest of the engine. A thorough investigation, and we didn't find any other malfunctions on the engine.
Why would they report a problem if they didn't have one? What were they looking at?
Investigators now wonder, did the cockpit instruments somehow malfunction and mislead the pilots?
Right engine oil pressure.
Check. Take action.
Copy, taking action.
So the next step is that you look in all the systems to see if there were any malfunctions that could explain why there was a lower oil pressure.
Are we ready?
Testing the oil pressure gauges and warning systems from the Saab 340 should tell investigators if the KLM pilots were getting accurate oil pressure readings.
There's nothing wrong here. The gauge is working fine.
They find no malfunction in the oil pressure gauge.
Hold on. That shouldn't happen.
But the warning light is another matter.
Okay, let's do it again. Okay. That's strange. It's giving an intermittent warning.
It's another surprising discovery. The oil pressure warning light sometimes activates even when the pressure is normal. Digging deeper, they examine the switch that controls the warning light.
We suspected the oil pressure switch, so we looked into that.
Ah, okay. There's a short circuit in the switch.
The oil pressure switch, it had a malfunction. It had a short.
Now they understand what the pilots were seeing. A false warning.
Has the airline asked you to become an instructor?
No, not yet. You need a lot of experience to get there. It's a big responsibility.
Right engine oil pressure.
An electrical short in the oil pressure switch caused the warning light to come on when it shouldn't have.
The oil pressure warning itself was false, and the engine was operating normally.
So, they were seeing a false warning, but that doesn't explain the accident.
The discovery raises as many questions as it answers. A false warning alone shouldn't lead to a crash.
Take action.
Copy. Taking action.
Pilots are trained to use checklists to make sure they're not thrown off by harmless circuitry malfunctions.
The checklist in this aircraft was designed in such a way that it gave the crew the opportunity to diagnose the problem as being one of a warning system issue, not a propeller and not an engine issue.
Let's see if there's an update on the first officer.
The captain of Flight 433 was killed in the accident.
Hi, it's Cass. Any news?
But the first officer survived, and investigators hope he can explain exactly how the crew responded to the false alarm.
Now, that's always very important. You want to have the first impressions of the surviving crew, but the reality that it's not always possible.
So, nothing at all? Okay, thanks.
The impact has left the first officer with severe amnesia. He remembers nothing from the flight. Investigators will need to look elsewhere for answers. Crash investigators in Amsterdam are finally able to listen to the cockpit voice recording from KLM 433. They hope it will tell them why the pilots turned around and why their landing at Schiphol went so terribly wrong.
If you don't have the information from the crew, then the recordings become more important. So we were very, very interested in what was recorded on the cockpit voice recorder.
Okay, let's hear it.
To give us specific clues what actually happened during the flight.
Has the airline asked you to become an instructor? No, not yet. You need a lot of experience to get there. It's a big responsibility.
Here's the warning.
Right engine oil pressure.
Let's see how they handle it.
Check, take action.
Copy. Taking action.
Investigators know that if the pilots follow the steps in their checklist correctly, they should be able to solve the problem.
The procedures that are in the emergency checklist help the pilots to determine whether or not it's a false warning or a real warning.
Emergency checklist for propeller and engine oil pressure low. Engine oil and prop oil checked.
So far, so good.
The pilots seem to be following the correct procedure.
If the warning light is on,
or the gauge is below 30, then you can continue. But if you have both,
then shut down the engine.
Okay, stop it there. So let's get this straight. If the warning light comes on and the oil pressure is below 30 psi, then you shut down the engine.
On the Saab 340, the warning system and the oil measuring system are two separate systems. And if there is a confusion between the two, let's say there's a warning light, but the oil pressure is above a certain level, the guidance in the emergency checklist is to continue normal operations.
What do we have now?
So the light is on, but we're above 30 psi. So
continue normal operation.
Wait, stop it there. So, they had the warning light, but the oil pressure was above 30 psi, so they could have kept flying.
The recording reveals that not only was it safe for the pilots to continue their flight, they knew it was safe.
Why the heck did they decide to turn back?
Jon Buitenhaus was a KLM investigator specializing in black box recordings.
Well, it's of course up to the captain to make a decision whether he continues or go back, but there was no reason to go back.
Fast forward to the end of the checklist. Let's see if they say anything else about it.
Okay, we're not climbing anymore.
Ah.
No.
That must be why they turned back.
We need to return to Amsterdam.
Make a pan call. Request maintain flight level 160. Tell them we have a technical issue.
Amsterdam, KLM 433, pan.
Oh, he says stop it there. Not climbing.
Investigators are stumped. All the evidence shows that the engines were working normally. The only problem was a false alarm. So why would the plane have trouble climbing?
Their engines are fine. Why are they not climbing?
The mystery of Flight 433 is proving difficult to solve. But for the media and the public at large, answers can't come soon enough.
The month afterwards, the problems came because there must have been a pilot from the company who phoned the press and said, I know for sure that's a pilot error. The problem is that everybody's jumping into conclusions, but we have to prove it.
There's a piece still missing. We're going to need the flight data.
Investigators hope the data recorder will provide the answers they need to solve the mystery of Flight 433.
Okay, let's see what we've got.
Investigators now turn to the flight data recorder from KLM Flight 433. It contains reams of information about the aircraft's performance.
The flight data recorder came out of the accident in good condition, so I had the data and could make graphs of the data.
Just these ones for now.
But can the data reveal why Flight 433 had trouble climbing and why it crashed?
Here's where they got the warning. Bring up the oil pressure data. That's plenty of pressure.
The data shows oil pressure never dipped below a safe level. It did not prevent the plane from climbing.
It's staying steady now?
Yes, but it's sensible to turn back.
Investigators remain in the dark until
What's going on here?
they spot something unexpected.
Right side engine thrust. It's dropping.
It's a major discovery. It suggests pilot error may have caused the deadly disaster.
Right here. Right after the alarm goes off, he actually pulls the power back.
Right engine oil pressure.
Check. Take action.
Copy. Taking action.
When the warning happened, he started to pull back on the power lever. And nobody knew why.
All the way to idle.
Each of two power levers controls one of the two engines. The data shows that when the first officer started the emergency checklist, the captain reduced the right-hand engine power to idle.
It doesn't say anything about reducing power.
The captain may have been trying to protect what he thought was a damaged engine by powering back. But reducing engine power is not part of the emergency checklist.
My first reaction was he might do it to save the engine, just for the moment. But you would expect when they got to the proper conclusion, eventually to continue normal operation, that you would use the engine again.
And look, he keeps it in idle for the remainder of the flight. Well, no wonder they couldn't climb.
Okay, we're not climbing anymore.
No.
If you don't use one of the two engines, at that altitude, it will not climb very much.
So, the false alarm goes off. He reduces power to the right engine.
That causes the oil pressure to actually drop.
This is so strange.
It's decreasing, Garrett.
And that's why they thought they had a problem with the engine.
As in a car, if you lose your gas pedal, then the RPM will get lower.
The pilots decide to turn back, even though they don't have a problem.
It's staying steady now?
Yes, but it's sensible to turn back.
The oil pressure system, the engine, and the propeller, these were all working just fine.
There is a key question investigators now need to answer.
Did having an idle engine cause this accident? Let's see the data from the final approach.
They wonder how having the right engine at idle affected the landing.
Okay, so at this point, they're too slow.
Watch your speed.
I'm on it.
The captain advances power to the left engine to regain speed. But since the right engine isn't producing thrust, the left engine pushes the aircraft to the right.
And they veer to the right of the runway out over the field. Now, at this point, there's no way they're going to make the landing, so they have no choice but to attempt to go around.
His decision to make a go-around was a good decision. If you're not sure from a safe landing, make a go-around.
Going around, set torque, flap 7, gear up.
But when the captain pushes the left engine to maximum power, it sends the plane into a catastrophic right turn.
Then you have a situation where you have a differential thrust going on, pulling the aircraft toward the side of the idling engine.
Oh, steer! Steer! Go, steer! Garrett! Garrett! Garrett!
What a blunder.
His engine he had flight idle, it was still working. So just one little push to the handle, and he was out of the problems.
Even though investigators have discovered serious piloting errors, should all the blame lay there?
Okay, so just how qualified were these guys?
Dutch investigators dig into the training records of both pilots of KLM Flight 433.
Flight hours, check rides, rest times, I mean, these all look good. There's got to be something missing. What else do we have?
Both pilots appear to have been fit to fly.
Both pilots had their certificate. There's no question that they were qualified.
But a document from the captain's days as a first officer reveals 2 failed flight tests.
Okay, this is from when he was training to be a first officer. And he passed, eventually. Well, what have we here? Okay, this is starting to make sense.
Training records show Captain Leevard struggled with exactly the kind of problem he faced on the day of the accident, the loss of an engine.
He failed one engine out test twice.
It's an important discovery. The records reveal that the captain failed tests simulating the kind of engine loss he thought he was facing when landing at Schiphol.
Damn it.
We looked into the training and we found that the crew, especially the captain, had some difficulties with one engine inoperative during flight.
And the only other time they tested him was November '92. And he barely passed.
The records show the captain earned a standard minus, the bare minimum required of him.
After the fact, it's clear that there were some things missed when it comes to the training and the operations of these kinds of aircraft.
Investigators finally understand the sequence of events that brought down KLM Cityhopper Flight 433.
The captain was primed to do this, and the first officer didn't question his decisions. And neither of them understood the danger they were in.
When a short circuit causes a false warning,
Right engine oil pressure.
Check. Take action.
Taking action.
the captain starts reducing right engine power before his first officer has a chance to read the checklist. His premature action fools them both into thinking they have an engine problem when they don't.
There was information that was available to both pilots, but somehow or another they were not communicating that information to each other in a way that allowed them to make good decisions.
Emergency checklist for engine and propeller oil pressure low.
And once they put that right-hand engine to idle, they blocked it out of their minds as an option.
The right power lever remained in the position of flight idle, and they didn't discuss the consequences of that.
Runway in sight.
Okay, 423.
As the pilots get closer to the runway,
watch your speed.
I'm on it.
The problems they created for themselves begin to snowball.
Things became more unstable. Things got into a situation where they were less in control of what was going on.
Going around. Set torque, flap 7, gear up.
Attempting a go-around using just one engine is the final mistake.
You can see it on the flight data. You see the power levers coming up, then he lost it.
Steer! Steer! Get steer! Gear it! Gear it! Gear it!
What started as a minor electrical problem turned into a cascading series of pilot errors. But the Netherlands Aviation Safety Board determines that the cause of those errors goes beyond the cockpit.
Most of the time a pilot makes an error is because it's becoming very complicated. In this case it was not complicated. So it must be his thinking somewhere went wrong. That's why the training has to be improved, that they take it more seriously.
Many of the investigators' recommendations are aimed squarely at the airline. The final report calls on KLM to review pilot testing techniques, establish cockpit management training, and improve guidance on flying with an idle engine.
It's easy to blame the pilots, especially when, in this case, one person didn't survive and the other person has no memory of it. But this is more of a system situation. And one of the takeaways is, what can be learned here so that all parts of the system, the flight crews, the operating manuals, the manufacturers, the airlines, what role do they all play? And how could those roles change to prevent this in the future or to make it much less likely to happen?